Hey guys, it's Rachel here with Senza Tempo Cane Corso, and I'm out here with all the dogs, as usual. Tennessee's upset because her food is in there soaking, and she knows it, and she wants to go inside. So she's upset, so I might have to get onto her a bit about getting up on the door, but hopefully she's gotten the point. Shh, get down. Velocity, get down. See, she's a bad influence on the pup. Good girl. Good girl. So, today I wanted to talk to you guys about, look at that face, about Preacher's early days. Sit. Good boy. He's got, with all the mold count has gotten really high here. And the dogs, the dogs get allergies just like we do, seasonal allergies. To pollen and whatever, and so this morning they woke up and a bunch of them have had a bit of a cough, and then just like a little, kind of like me, like a phlegmy thing, and then some eye boogers. Nothing serious. It's literally every season the dogs go through this, and we go through it, and everybody does. And if your dog does go through that, I mean, mostly I just kind of let them deal with it, but if it's bad, then I will give them some Benadryl. But usually, just, they get over it on their own in a day or two. Just like I do. See, there you can see it. So, she's doing it. She had a little bit of clearly some kind of phlegm or something. Blondie, don't you do it. Shh, don't do it. Good girl. She wanted to jump on that table. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys about Preacher in his early days, what he was like whenever I got him, and even like Cashmere. So, hold on, let me go correct her real quick. Shh, no, back off, no, no. See how she's trying to go back to the door? I'm just going to kind of push her away from the door. Shh, no. No. Shh. No. No. Don't you be a bad girl. See that sorry face? That's a good girl. She's a good dog already. You can tell. She's maturing. She's learning quite well. See, look, she's going to try to go around. Psst. No. Dogs will always try to use a distraction. Move. No. Hey. Shh. Tennessee. Good girl. Good girl. One of my dogs used my foot. They were jumping up onto the bed and they stepped on my foot. It was actually midnight. Scratched the skin, the top layer of skin right off my foot. Very, very painful. Very, very painful. Just one of the innocent little things that can happen when owning dogs of this size and this caliber. Couldn't get mad at her. She didn't mean to do it, but now I have to keep my foot bandaged. Get down now. So, yeah, go. Quit guarding the door. Now, go. They hate the rain, so they don't want to be, so they don't want to be out here. No, midnight. No. I don't mind so much that they're by the door, so long as they're not on the door. We'll try to move away, make sure she doesn't cry. So anyway, when I first got Preacher, he was 9 weeks of age. I went and picked him up from the breeder, and we drove him back. It's what I do with all my dogs. I love to go pick them up, make a family vacation out of it, and, and have that trip to kind of bond with the dog. Plus, I'm a bit of a control freak, and I just don't trust anybody to transport my dog. I don't want my puppy around other people's puppies. I don't know how other people run their kennels, so I just do the whole better safe than sorry thing. And it's financially not a good idea because obviously each time I do it, it costs me about $1,000 just to drive up there and drive back with hotels and everything. But it's worth it to me in every other way. So I really, you know, so it's not, like I said, it's not about the money for me. So, like I said, we try to make a family vacation out of it. We'll go and, quiet down. We'll go and we'll do, I think we went to Atlanta a bunch of times. And we do the aquarium and other stuff like that, and zoos and stuff. So we try to have some fun out of it. And so anyway, so when we first brought Preacher back, there were no signs of aggression or anything like that. He was just a really sweet guy. When I went to the breeder, she had him in a puppy pen, and then all the other dogs were in their kennels, kind of in a U shape, around a grass kind of courtyard. And so we were walking around, she was showing me the other dogs, and Preacher had been put in his, look how good she looks. Okay, sorry. Preacher had been put in his, in the little puppy pen, and he got out and ran all the way across the field, and he did not run to the breeder. He came directly to me, sat right at my feet, and just kind of looked up at me. And I was smitten. He had my heart from that moment. And, and that's what they do to you. And so, loved him to death. So we're bringing him home. And so the first sign of a problem was I took him to Tractor Supply. And there was a woman there that just loved him, thought he was so adorable, and she wanted to take a picture with him. And I didn't have a problem with it. It's fine. So I took the camera, and he was in the cart. He was in the top part of the cart, and she was behind him, and she had kind of wrapped her arms around him, and she had his head kind of over his shoulder, which, as a lot of dog people know, is not really something you want to do with somebody else's dog. Now, having said that, he was a puppy, so it's a little bit more understandable, but you really wouldn't want to do that with an adult dog unless you really know the dog, or you're really good at reading dogs, because even an owner might not. A lot of owners don't even realize how their dogs actually feel. So just because the owner says it's okay doesn't necessarily mean it is. So anyway, so he was fine, and then she kept, I don't know why, but she didn't like the picture or whatever. I guess he wasn't looking right at the camera. And he tried to wiggle away, and she wouldn't let him up. She, like, you know, just kind of held tighter. And and I saw it on his face. The minute that she didn't let him go, he looked up at her with this face like, you had better let me go. You know, very serious. I mean, these dogs are not pets. They are not toys. You know, they can get serious very quick. And I saw it where he did this thing, and you'll know this, this look at a dog where they do this thing. You need to be wary if a dog does this to you, even if it's your own dog, where they just kind of barely lift their head at you, not all the way, just barely, and they do this thing where they look up at you, and they'll look up at you in such a way that you'll actually see the whites of their eyes, usually underneath. And it's that is a you're fixing to get bit look. Okay, it's hard to describe, but when you see it, you know. And I knew, I was like, oh crap, he's literally fixing to bite this woman. So I reached my hand in, and right as he went to bite her face, I just took my hand, I'll show you, I just took my hand and flipped it over his muzzle right here, and I held his muzzle. And he fought me for a second. You know, he tried to get loud and ferocious, and then he stopped and whimpered, and I let go. And I wasn't putting any pressure down. I want to be very clear on that. I'll give you an example of what I did. I just took it like that, right, and just held. Just hard enough to keep him from getting loose and biting me, because that's the thing, is you can never let a dog bite you. If at all possible, prevent it. And you never, I mean, it's a huge challenge, right? Like, you just can't let them get away with that. So, So I held it down. He was fine, and the lady was terrified. She was like, "Oh, good luck with him," and like left, right? So she's officially terrified of this breed. And that was just the start. That was only the first time. After that, we started to get food aggression. Anytime one of us would walk by his food, he would growl at us. If he was on the couch and we went to move him down, he would growl at us. If he was on your lap, like Alex would have him on his lap and in the vehicle, and we were like driving and he had him on his lap, and then, which I told him not to do this. I mean, don't get me wrong, but Alex is his own person. He's going to do what he wants to do. And he would hold him anyway. And sure enough, when he would go to move him, he would growl. And it got to the point where I started to get really frustrated with him, because it got to where you couldn't really be affectionate with him, because the minute that you were affectionate, he took it as weakness and would try to push. And so at around 6 months of age, he was really getting big, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm done with this. Like, this is it. This is over. You know, the honeymoon stage is over. I'm officially not smitten anymore. Like, you know, you just need to do what you're told. Because I'm telling you, we would work with him. We would tell him to sit, and he wouldn't sit, and he would get really attitudey about it and vocal. He resented having to be told what to do. Okay, I have video of it. Even having to sit for a toy, you know, he hated it. And you'll even see it today sometimes where he will kind of talk back a little bit. He's very independent. He does not like having to be told what to do. He is not a willing participant in any kind of training or anything having to do with him being told what to do, okay? He had to be forced through training to be the dog that he is today, all right? This was not an easy dog. Now, I will say that he developed me as a trainer. I mean, I had worked with lots of different breeds, but most breeds just don't have this kind of independent streak or sense of self, and like these guys do. And so anyways, you're really dealing with an individual more. I would suppose that it's more like working with a Mustang versus working with a horse that's been domesticated over years to be a willing partner, right? I think with a Mustang, it's probably initially more of a negotiation, more of a conversation of you know, you have this independent being, this animal that has been doing its own thing, living its own life, has its own opinions and wants and whatever, and really doesn't care about you. And you have to somehow entice that animal to be a willing participant. And that's how these guys are. And how it worked with Preachers, you know, like I said, I got tired of it. I got fed up, and I said, you know what, buddy? Things are going to change around here. You know, you are going to realize that your only sole purpose on this earth is to do what I say. And that's the truth. It really is. People seem to forget that with dogs, but the truth is they were all originally working animals, just like any other domesticated mammal that we have. They were tools. I had somebody try to tell me the other day that dogs are not tools. That's crap. Yes, they are. That's what humans do. All right? We are tool masters. We go about our lives finding things to change or alter to better our own existence. And we did it with Mustangs or wild horses. We did it with you know, domestic cattle. We've done it with dogs. Not so much with cats. You know, cats are like cats are a true pet. You know, you cannot use a cat to do anything the way that you can use a dog like a tool. You can breed them for certain traits. The same way that, like, for example, there are cutting horses, quarter horses, that you can release from their pen and riderless, right? No person on top of them. They will cut cattle, because that's what they've been bred to do. And these dogs, dogs that are bred right for whatever job it is that they do, you often see it in animals that have been more recently used for work. So the ones that have been worked more than they've been shown are the dogs that are going to display those kinds of behaviors more than others. I'm going to have to get her off this door again. Psst. Yeah, come on. Psst, psst. No. No. Shh. No. Don't you be a bad girl. No. So anyway, so how I did with Preacher is we literally went out, because what I realized is, like, I wasn't having the impact that I needed to have just by going on walks. And just what I would normally do to teach a dog things is we would just go on a walk, and at each stop sign I would make them sit, and that's how they would learn sit. And then over time we would do a stay, where I would drop the leash and make them sit and then walk away a little bit, telling them stay, and then alter that as we go. But with Preacher, it just didn't work. He would do that stuff, but he just wasn't there. So he's just so stubborn. And so what I did is I took him out to a field, and we just did drills the same way that, like, the military goes out and does drills. And we would just, and what I did is, instead of walking in one direction, which will cause dogs to want to pull because they know where they're going. When you're out in a field and you're doing drills, the dog is less inclined to do that because they actually don't know where they're going. So I highly suggest just doing zigzags, whatever, like doing various patterns that make no sense, so that the dog is forced to look up at you to know where to go. And what you do is you just, you walk one direction, and then you make them sit, and then you walk another, and then you make them sit, and then you make them stay. And you keep doing it and keep doing it. And until that animal learns that this is what we're doing, you're going to do what I say. And oddly enough, when I did this with Preacher, once he stopped fighting me and realized that I was working him, and by working him, what I mean is that I was out there telling him to do things, directing his every behavior. And let me watch Cashmere real quick. Cashmere, get out of her face. So anyway, so in doing that, Preacher, I turned on another part of his brain where he really did want to then work with me. And because that's the thing about these guys, they are warriors. They're independent. You're not going to get a dog that's going to go to war for you and die for you that doesn't have a lot of strength to them. I'm sure there's a lot of people who've watched Game of Thrones on here, because I get a lot of comments about these dogs being in that, which there may have been some, but the one that a lot of people think was a Cane Corso is actually a Presa. So the guy who owns that dog, there was a whole bunch of hubbub about it, and I've actually seen it. I've seen the dog. I've seen the guy who owns it. It is a Presa. So anyway, but having said that, there is a quote in that series where Khaleesi is, I think, what does she try to do? She tries to do something with her dragon. She's disrespectful to the dragon. Tries to treat it more like a pet and less like, Cashmere, get away now. Now. I don't think she went for her face. I actually think she went for a fly. But nonetheless, I don't like the way that she's behaving herself. Lay down, Cashmere. Now. Now. All the way down. Now. All the way down. All the way down. You stay. She is such a drama queen. A priss. Make no mistake. So, the reason I did that, all the way down right now. Right now. All the way down. All the way down, Cashmere. Now. Now. You stay. You stay. I've been working with her a lot on her pushing boundaries and being more respectful. And so teaching her that she's not allowed to just be an alpha whenever she wants to. Like, she can be the alpha, but she's not allowed to push her weight around. Those are my rules. You know, Velocity's getting older. She's not doing anything wrong. There's no reason for it, so I'm not going to allow it. So anyway, Geez, see, once again, there it happens. They always do this. They make me lose my train of thought. So anyway, so like I said, with these guys, you really need to go out. You need to do that training. You need to be on top of it. Do not think for a second the preacher was born this way, or that he just came to me this way. Preacher took a lot of work. Cashmere, for example, when we first got her, she would growl every time we picked her up. When we picked her up from the breeder's house, literally she would growl every time. And I'm guessing most likely what happened is that because they were raised indoors. Cashmere, get up. You can go. I want to release her because I can tell she wants to get up anyway. Go, get up. You're a good girl. So, yeah, you're a good girl. I love you. So anyway, and then even after we got her to stop growling, she would still give us the stank face. Whenever we would hold her. So she was really attitudey as well. So both of them, we had to work with them a lot. We had to do a lot of training. They're both very independent, very dominant dogs. They see themselves on the same level as you. They do not see themselves as beneath you. That's something to think about, something to remember. Just because a puppy growls at you doesn't mean it's a bad dog. Just because your puppy has food aggression doesn't mean it's a bad dog, doesn't mean it has bad breeding. It means that it's trying to communicate with you in the only way that it knows how. Well, that's lovely. Well, there you go. Alright, well, I'm going to let y'all go. I'm going to go check that out, make sure that we don't have some teenager breaking into people's crap, because it happens around here. I'll talk to y'all later.